You can't be there if you're not here. Remember when you used to walk into a bus kiosk or a subway station and you needed to figure out where you were before you tried to get anywhere? There used to be these maps that had an arrow pointing to a spot with a little dialogue box next to it that said, "You are here." I think it's safe to say, poor choice of words I know, that you are now here. Here is the place we've been talking about for a good long while. This is the place, quite possibly somewhere outside Cairo, where that specific camel finally breaks under the weight of the last unforgiving straw. This is the place where the most unstable domino finally tumbles into its neighbor and begins to operate like the Gulf Stream used to. All over the Arab world, as a precursor to all over the world period, the psychic locks that have held the populations in stasis have now been broken. We are standing before the walls of a metaphorical Jericho. The sound of magical trumpets fills the air, but no one is directly aware of them. They're hearing something, but they can't identify it. The effect of the sounds is to open areas of awareness and action that do not depend on the reflection and judgment of the people involved. It's always like this when the world goes into one of its dramatic change modes. All of a sudden, everything is happening as if it were detailed on a blueprint or in a book, and no one questions it because they are in the middle of it. Suddenly, all the things they've been feeling for longer than they can remember have all come together in a defining moment. Somewhere in the mystery of this process, which no one can delineate without losing some of the parts, lays the apprehension of the warp and woof, attended by the meaning, but it always slips away like sand through your fingers when you try to understand it. Life is like that. It seems we should have always known where we would wind up, by where we were going, but we never do. Later on, down the road, in the place they decide which history we are supposed to remember, they add in the details, the way they add the nutritional features and vitamins to the white flour they get removed from, so that the rats and cockroaches wouldn't eat it. It's a similar principle. They don't want any inquisitive vermin rooting around in the evidence, so there shouldn't be any evidence until they add the evidence later. Looking at the initial mayhem prior to the greater contagion, one might opt for the promise of positive change or an indication of serious shitstorms on the horizon. There's probably going to be a good amount of both. Whatever the damage they've done by whatever is taking place, it's not necessarily going to be worse than what is happening before it burst upon the scene. There's always a chance that we will be presented with various enduring icons, like little Georgie Sorrows hanging from a colored scarf in his closet. there's an implication that the monsters which have herded the willing and the stupid to this pass are going to get theirs. I keep thinking of Vladimir Putin rotating a pair of Chinese stress balls in his hand as he considers what to do about Israel bombing the Demodedovo airport. The fall of Egypt is close to some of the worst news that Israel can get. As we know by now, bad news for Israel is very good news for the rest of the world, to reverse paraphrase Netanyahu commenting after 9/11. So, for myself, in this time of momentous transformation, soon to be joined in concert by Mother Nature, I look for positive signs of human potential, evolving up from all fours into something more observably humanoid. I think of bankers hanging from lampposts and the sacking of Goldman Sachs by an angry mob of thousands. We'll never know what all those files contained before Building 7 went down. As history and the moment will both prove, we don't need no stinking paper. The guilt and culpability are written into the atmosphere. It doesn't matter what crime you want to prosecute or what injustice you seek to adjust. If you locate an international banker, that will do for just about any crime or injustice presently extant. The idea of the whole boards of directors of BP and Monsanto doing stationary, face-down water ballet in the Gulf of Mexico creates an image that I am reluctant to let go of. The Queen of England and the Pope chained to the wall of a Newark crack house as the filmmakers from the San Fernando Valley set up their equipment makes me wish I'd been a little kinkier in my life, so that I could get a greater degree of satisfaction from the event. Oh look, here come their co-stars. Now that's impressive. As long as nobody calls Peter, we should be able to get the money shot in one afternoon. That is why I make the decision to call for quarantine and permanent isolation among their fellows for these viruses masquerading in human form. I don't like violent revolution, and I don't like the show trials being produced by the same people that do American Idol, so that while you're watching the entertainment, they are fabricating the backstory that goes with the version of things they want you to live with after the tables are turned and the same people are still sitting there. This time, that is not going to happen. I understand that some heads have to roll, and I understand that unless you tear something to the ground, Goldman Sachs, anybody? They'll just hose me, hose you, Mubarak the whole thing into a let's all play nice now scenario where they go right back to doing business as usual with new faces. You can't put the fox in charge of the hen house. The fox is a clever guy. He replicates too. He's in and out so that it looks like sex that he's having. What you have to ask yourself is, am I having sex with the fox, but I'm unaware of it? It's no surprise they call the enterprise Fox News. It's all Animal Farm, anthropomorphically speaking. What's happening today is like a chapter in a book. Tomorrow, metaphorically speaking, there will be new character development, and possibly the most critical aspect, or even the original target, might come into the crosshairs. What is happening now is going to impact on the lives of everyone living. The Force is on the move, and everyone is going to have to consider what sort of adjustments they're going to make to the Force. You might be looking at it like an offensive tackle, and you might be looking at it like a defensive end. Heck, you might even be thinking you're the quarterback in search of a wide receiver. These are just postures and positions from which one can have a perspective, and you can be sure there are any number of people looking at it in a very similar way. It translates into soccer or rugby or lawn tennis, badminton, possibly even croquet, with the aforementioned rolling heads. Alice in Wonderland is not a bad fit for describing the transliteration of the Devic realm into an active feature of the times. There are all sorts of beautiful landscapes and interesting magical creatures in Wonderland. There were very interesting potions available, but there was also a batshit crazy queen and an executioner with an axe. The point seems to be that we're just a pack of cards anyway. Is that what this is? Are we just a pack of cards? It's happening right in front of your eyes, and it's no big deal, right? Can you imagine what is going on behind the scenes at the moment, given that this is a cosmic event? Everything the people that be does will be the wrong thing and work to their disadvantage. Everything they didn't do will be the right thing, mostly, but they haven't engineered themselves for that yet. We are officially in operational mode. Don't forget that all kinds of supernatural potencies and possibilities are also operational. You're going to get the game you're watching. You're going to get the game you are after. You are going to get the game you are playing, unless you change your game. And that's always an option, and the one most people most consistently forget. It's a little cliché, but may the Force be with you, and may you be with the Force, because the alternative makes you something for demonstration purposes only. Or does it just go on?